Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Awakened Abundance, a channel that's dedicated to exploring various ways that we can tap into and connect with the abundance that's around and within us. Now, before going any further, I'd like to invite you, if you're new, to subscribe and like this presentation if you're liking the vibes. If you're already subscribed with us, we are grateful for you joining us in our journey, and would like you all to, comment and share so we can create a nice chain reaction and get to as many people as possible and really just start thinking abundantly together. Also, a quick disclaimer. Here at Awakened Abundance, we're not professing ourselves to be gurus or experts. We're not proposing that we've got all of the answers or anything like that. No, it's not like that. We're just simply students of life on a journey of self-improvement, and we use universal principles as our foundation, which is basically just like an unfolding process for us. So we're just learning as we go and just sharing what we're learning, and hopefully in the comments people will also share some of the things that they're finding helpful along their journey. So this is just it's just sharing. With that being said, today's discussion, thought it might be interesting to talk about the abundance of thought. Now, while considering this topic, one of the thoughts that came to me was this statement: we become what we think about. Now, I got that from a personal development coach who goes by the name of Earl Nightingale. Sadly, Earl's no longer with us, but while he was here, he shared much of his life's work with the world while he was alive. And he wrote a book called The Strangest Secret, which is where that quote comes from. You become what you think about. Now, the first time I heard that statement, it really did resonate with me. It grabbed my attention because as I looked back over the years at the various people I've listened to, especially people who promoted some kind of success mindset, it pretty much felt like that statement, we become what we think about, is embedded in the foundation of the philosophies of those that many of us would deem as successful people. I guess, like with most things in life, we can do one or two things. We can try to simplify things, or we can overcomplicate them. So I took that statement, we become what we think about, and I really began to examine it, kind of as if I was like a scientist, just like really examining this statement like it's like a hypothesis, like let's see if it's true. So on a very basic level, it didn't take long before I found myself agreeing with that statement, because I was able to quickly work out that when I think about things that are appealing or positive, I generally feel better. And naturally, on the flip side, when I think about things that aren't so great, I don't feel so great. It's no brainer, right? When you say it like that, it sounds quite obvious and like common sense. But then I really got thinking about it, like the results that I've achieved in my life, both positive and negative, and potentially the link between them, like, was what I thought having some impact on the results that I was getting in my life. So one of my personal goals is ultimately to get in shape. I've always liked the idea of having what I call the superhero body. I've always grown up Marvel fan, DC fan, watching all of these superheroes, and they're all in great shape, aren't they? Don't get worried, I'm not going to put on a cape and run around like I'm Batman or something, but the goal was to get in the best shape of my life. And what I found is I've been struggling with that goal probably, I'd say, for years. And thankfully, I'm happy to report that I'm getting closer to that goal. One of the things that was really interesting, going back to you become what you think about most of the time, is that even though I had a desire to get in shape and to get fit, my thinking wasn't on that subject very often. It was something like I knew I had to do it. I said I was going to do it, but I didn't really think about it that often. And what was really transformational for me was the more I began to build up momentum with thinking about it, the more propelled I felt towards the actual, like the doing the things that you need to do. It's one thing to have an idea, but then you've got to kind of step it out, and then, you know, you've got to start putting in practical steps that build habits. And I'm now at a point where I'm working out more frequently, and it's simply because I started to develop more thoughts around the idea or the goal, which was to get in shape. Found it really, really interesting. And also I feel quite proud. So, while preparing to discuss this topic with you all, I got a little bit curious. And I just thought to myself, you know what? There's a lot of things that I don't know, but Google knows pretty much everything. So I typed into Google, how many thoughts per day? And then I clicked. And the results that came back, I was like, no way. So one search result said that we get 70,000 thoughts a day. 70,000. I mean, talk about a penny for your thoughts. Just imagine getting a penny for each one of those thoughts. I can't do the maths on it, but I wouldn't mind seeing that in my bank account. But the interesting thing was, the second website, it said that the average person thinks between 12 and 60,000 thoughts a day. I mean, that's still a lot of thoughts, but a bit more conservative. But then it went on to say 80% of the thoughts of the average person are negative. I was like, whoa. 80%. 80% of the average person's thoughts are negative. When I read that, I sat there like staring at the wall for a little while, just thinking, it's just like, if we become what we think most of the time, and 80% of the average person's thoughts are negative. I mean, I don't know about you, but that feels more like a formula for poor well-being, poor results, and just not feeling like that good. Now, this is the Abundance Channel, and I'm not wanting to kill no one's vibe and put a depressive spin on anything, but we do like to keep things real here. And the good news is, because I must admit, when I heard that, I thought, my God, that's terrible. But the good news is, the thoughts that run around in our minds, they're our thoughts. The good news is, we have the ability and the power to change what we think about. Now, I think most people in the world, understand that the mind, that the brain, it's a remarkable, I'm going to say, organ or muscle, and that it has great potential. But it does seem that maybe for a lot of people, we're not always mindful of just how influential, get my words out, our thoughts are. So I suppose one of the things that was a bit of a confirmation for me is that being aware of what we're thinking about is really, really important. And that might sound like an obvious thing to say, but looking at those stats and comparing that statement that we become what we think about most of the time, 80% on average, negative thinking, and yet thoughts influence potentially the outcomes of our lives. It's a good thing to consider doing some mental exercises and really examining what we think and how we feel. Because apparently there is a correlation between what we think and what we feel. And for me personally, I generally find when I feel good, it's because I'm thinking good thoughts. And I think that's a really simple way of measuring how we're doing in life. If you're feeling miserable, why are you feeling miserable? If you're feeling good, keep doing more of the same. So yeah, this is just a quick one really. Well, I say it's a quick one. I like to try and keep these within a reasonable time frame. Don't want to bore anybody. But yeah, the power of our thoughts, the importance of our thoughts, and the abundance of our thoughts. I mean, imagine that, between 12 and 60,000 thoughts running through our minds. One of the questions that, in closing, I think will be good to think about is, if we become what we think about most of the time, what are we thinking about? Are we thinking thoughts that are going to take us where we want to go? I mean, we're living in a time where people are doing businesses, people are achieving amazing things. And I think it's reasonable to say that they're achieving those things because they're thinking about doing amazing things and then striving towards it. What are we doing with our thinking? I must admit, once I started really homing in on this idea of thoughts become things and we become what we think about, feeling good more frequently has become more of a natural thing because I'm practicing it more. So yes, this is Awakened Abundance. I hope that this food for thought discussion has been enjoyable for you, as it has been for me talking about it. Like I said, feel free to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to put out regular content, so if this is your first time here, feel free to browse and look at the shorts and the other content that we've put out there. And just like to say this, life can be abundant. We have abundant potential, and I'd like to wish you all the very, very best on your journey. Thank you for listening.